Hey Mo, the doctor is in. You're on
Hey,
mute.
Ricky. Yes, we are. We are
The doctor
in.
is in. We are
And
in.
let me tell you something. We're in style this week. I mean, I'm fangirling out. I'm still, over here. I'm excited. We got Toks and Friends and TNBC month. And this is just a really special and near and dear to my heart conversation and the month in general. Because,
Yeah,
triple
yeah.
negative breast cancer, people still don't in 2025, people still don't know what TNBC is. They don't know
They
what makes
don't.
it
And
different. They don't
doctors
know
are
why it
still,
matters.
yeah, doctors don't know what to do with us still. Even that, even, it's crazy. But we are here with our really, really great friends,
Yeah.
my Hayley who saved my life and my Melissa, who's my first TNBC friend, and a new friend.
Hey,
And
new
we're
friend.
glad you're here. We're so glad you're here with us. And it's
Oh,
TNBC
thank you.
month. Haley and I've been hanging out together all week. We spent the day on the Hill on Monday, and we'll talk all about that. But we are going to celebrate triple negative breast cancer this whole month. We have lots of activities, lots of curriculum. All of our episodes are going to be about TNBC this month. We have lots to talk about, lots to share, and lots to learn. And so let's get started. We just met Tokes. I just met her, and then why don't you start with your story? We don't even know your story. Like, what's your
Oh yeah.
TNBC?
So
Where'd you come from? How come we don't know you already?
I'm an actor and I was diagnosed with TNBC in oh my God, 2022. And it was a routine mammogram
Check up.
that I was actually going to put off because I was still breastfeeding.
Mm.
And my gynecologist said, absolutely not. It has been too long. Go and get it. And they saw calcifications. I had a biopsy, and um, I was diagnosed very quickly as compared to some of my friends who've been through the finding it, getting a second mammogram, doing the biopsy. I had actually another girlfriend who ended up being okay, who was going through it at the same time. She found hers before mine and got to her biopsy after I had my first surgery. So that shows you the disparity but yeah, and I had three surgeries. By the time from between when we diagnosed it to when we went in the first time, I went from stage 0 to stage 1, which is, we know how
Wow.
fast this moves.
Right.
Um, I had to dry out. It took me about 2 weeks to dry out from breastfeeding. And then, yeah, we did three surgeries trying to save the breast. That didn't work. So we did chemo, then a nipple sparing surgery, double mastectomy, reconstruction. And yeah, I worked pretty much the entire time.
Uh-huh.
And I'm here to tell the tale, and I want to talk about it as much as I can because for many reasons. First of all, because the thought of encouraging someone to go and find it as early as possible is
Yeah.
something that I would hope to be able to encourage people to do that. Secondly, for some reason for me it wasn't as scary as everyone in my family has had some kind of cancer, and I thought it was going to be terrifying, and actually it wasn't. It was just kind of like, okay, there are things that we can do. I can be in treatment, let's do this. And also because I feel like some women feel shame when they've been ill, and
Absolutely.
I never have, and so I don't want women especially to feel shame from having been sick. There's no need to feel any shame.
I love this. And I love the fact that we're normalizing, having cancer, having TNBC, and, you treat it and you're moving on with things. And it's very impactful, I think, to hear the narrative where it isn't always the lightning rod of your life. Like there's more to your life and to your story than this, because it creates, I think, a little bit of balance in the narratives. And it's not to in any way diminish what cancer does and can do for someone, but we don't hear enough of the stories of, what, I did the things, and, I had my surgeries and it didn't go quite how we thought, but, here I am, and I'm working and I'm living my life and I'm doing my thing. And I just think that that's a really important conversation and narrative to have. And we don't hear enough of that.
Yeah, I think it's also important to put it out they're that way because people are so scared to get the diagnosis that they don't get their checkups, which
I think that's a really, really strong statement. And it's so true, especially younger women, even when they feel something, either they're reluctant to go and get it checked out, or if they go to a doctor that dismisses them and says, oh, it's probably nothing, you're young, they don't want to think that it's something because they're afraid of what it, they're afraid of the horror story, right? And so they don't advocate for themselves. They don't push any further. And pushing a little bit further and advocating for yourself can save your life. So I like what you said, Dr. Mo, about normalizing this conversation and also not always highlighting the most, the horror stories, right? Because we,
Yeah.
as the TNBC Foundation and Ricky, Melissa, Dr. Mo, we see every day, we talk to women who, just like you, Toks,
Yeah.
get the diagnosis, go through what they have to go through. Many people are able to work through it. And when
Right.
you said, oh, I'm an actress, I worked, you're on, a hit TV show, you're on Frasier. It's that is a grueling schedule, and you were still able, to get through it and to come out on the other side like this. And I think stories like yours need to be celebrated and discussed also, because I think that knowing that you can get through this intact like this will encourage women to really advocate for themselves.
yeah, I mean, we
And you
forget
don't
how
have to
strong
hide
women
it. I'm
are.
sorry, go
We
ahead,
have
Toks.
children all the time, right? We've got babies all the time. That does quite a number on our bodies, and we still
Mhm.
get through it, and we work and we do everything that we need to do. We're really strong. We can
Yeah.
get through most
You're
things.
really strong. I think one
I
thing
love
you mentioned, Tokes, interesting, was that you had other cancers in your family. And so maybe, and I don't know the answer to this, but maybe because you've seen other success stories where people recovered, that it was maybe a little easier for you to deal with. Is that the case? Or do you know what I mean? Like,
No, most of the people in my family who have had cancer passed from it. And
Oh.
I was terrified my entire life to get cancer. I was like, I know it's coming. Which one is it going to be?
wow.
But it was
Did you
once
have
I got
breast?
the
Did you have
diagnosis.
breast? Did you have breast in your family? Breast cancer?
No, but there, one of my mother's like distant cousins had breast cancer, but my mother has had melanoma twice. She has leukemia right now. And my grandmother had colon cancer. My grandfather had prostate cancer. My uncle had prostate cancer. They both passed from their cancers. On my dad's side, my aunt had ovarian cancer. She passed from it. My grandfather, my other grandfather had, I'm not
Wow.
even sure what kind of cancer he had. By the time they found it, it was everywhere. And he passed
Mm.
like 2 weeks
That
after.
didn't give you hope at all. I got you.
Wow.
You know,
No,
Wow.
I was terrified. And then I
wow.
realized, I had an amazing doctor who started me on mammograms very early, started me on colonoscopies very early. So I felt well taken care of, which was good. And then I don't know, for some reason, once we found it and I knew what it was and I knew what stage I was at and I knew there was treatment, I kind of relaxed into it. It was very strange.
Mm,
It worked for you. That's amazing.
for you. Yeah.
Can we just shout out some of the things? Because I don't know if people, and I know they do know because they see your face. They're like, oh my God. But The Neighbors, Frasier, Castle, The Rookie. Like this is
Yeah. Talk about all the stuff you've done. Yeah.
Carmen
Like, I'm an
Sandiego,
actor,
right? Like,
like
yeah, you're very much in the forefront of TV, particularly today. And you did all this and still did that and raised a family. And
Yeah.
and I think it's huge.
Is this your first child? Or
My first and only, unfortunately, I was pushed into menopause by the
right.
chemo.
By the drugs,
And I
yeah.
did very quickly, because it was triple negative, I very quickly tried to do a fertility situation, but we didn't, we got like 3 embryos, only one like made it halfway and then nothing. So we
Okay.
tried, but yeah, so I've got one son, but there are many ways to have a family, so we might
There are, and that's a
have him more
miracle
kids
child.
later.
So yeah, that's good. Yeah. Yeah. Wow. That's awesome. Cool. So talk about your career.
Oh wow. I mean, I've been very, very lucky. Like you said, Frasier, Castle, The Rookie, The Neighbors, which was a favorite, Veep. I played the Kamala Harris character on Veep. Very proud of that.
I know. I love
Um,
that. That was
I
so great. I
do
watched that.
a lot of voiceover stuff. So Arcane, DuckTales, like, you know, I'm all over the place.
That's so great.
What fun though, right?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have a really good time.
That's awesome.
Wonderful.
Did you understand, I guess, when you got the diagnosis and the doctor started talking about the treatments, did you have a sense of, and did you do research online about TNBC? Did you start looking things up? Like, tell us a little bit about
Okay,
that
so I
process,
did
because
not start looking things up because my best friend in the whole world, we've been best friends for about 30 years, had breast cancer 10 years before I did. So of course she was the first person I called, and she said, do not whatever you want to know, ask me, I will do it. I will answer your questions for you. The only research I did was when I was going to have chemo. I read Beverly Zavaletta's book, Braving Chemo, which I highly recommend if you're going to do chemo. Yeah, so I I wasn't aware of the quote unquote death sentence TNBC is said to be. I mean, we have so many TNBC thrivers, so sometimes I'm kind of like, you know, but the person who told me that was my gynecologist when I was having the fertility treatments. He was like, are you going to do a second round? And I was like, maybe. And he literally said, stop messing about. Triple negative is a cancer that will kill you if you wait too long. You got to get on it. And I was like, oh, like you know, in my head, I was like, oh, stage 0, stage 1, you know, but yeah, so he was very, I have fantastic doctors. I've been very good at making
Right.
sure I like my doctors, and if I don't, I have changed them immediately.
That's
And
great.
I mean, to the
That
point
makes
where
a huge
all of my
difference.
doctors during my treatment were women of color. He made sure that every single doctor I had was a woman of color, so that it would be a situation in
Yeah.
which he knew I would be listened to and I felt comfortable. So, and you know, we know we're not all women are that lucky.
Right, we know that. Yeah, no, that's a blessing, and it's a blessing to be able to, you know, to even be able to select your doctor. You know, so many women go to community hospitals and sort of are given a provider and maybe see a different one every time. So it's a blessing to be able to say, I'm going to stay with this doc and
Yeah.
be treated, you know, and be
Let's
treated
talk
well.
about that.
Yeah,
Because somebody in the chat has a question, and she said, well, you know, most doctors don't take you seriously unless you are a celebrity, and that's not right. And what can be
yeah,
done about doctors who don't really care about patients? And I think, you know, I always have to sort of defend the doctors and say it isn't that we don't care about patients. I think that there are a lot of there is bias, and it's real, and it's pervasive, and it's not just racial bias, it's age bias, right? We see these young women and we say, oh, it's probably fibrocystic changes. And, you know, last I checked, these weren't x-ray glasses, right? So unless we look and unless we take, you know, people seriously and believe them, we can miss things. But I think the systems are set up for this weird productivity that doesn't allow us to always connect with our patients in the ways and in the amount of time we want. And those of us who do end up facing higher burnout because we're doing paperwork and charts all night long. Instead of charting in the room, we're talking to
right.
and communicating with patients. But I think there are some things people can do to advocate for themselves and to find that right fit. And maybe we could talk a little bit about that, you know, from all of us, and then the resources that are, you know, kind of available. Like, how do you know when it's a good fit, and how do you know when it's a wrong fit?
Well, I think Ricky, you've always said, I think it's you. You have so many great quotes and anecdotes, but like you need to look at your doctor as though it's your consultant, and you can interview them and you could decide. And look, not everyone, it all depends on access, right? But if you have the opportunity to choose, there's nothing wrong with speaking to several different specialists until you feel right. And I
Do you
think
feel the
it's
love? Yeah,
really, really hard to find someone who really is an incredible oncologist, but also is really compassionate and has, you know, that's really great. And that's when you know you found the right doctor. It's not always easy to find that combination, but I would say if you can, that's always
yeah.
so good.
I also think that, you know, sometimes, and it's hard because you don't want to put the burden on the patient, right? You know, the TNBC Foundation, for one, we, support a lot of continuing medical education programs, specifically for triple negative breast cancer. And the idea is to make sure that no matter where, which doctor you see, whether it's at a major medical institution or at a community hospital, everyone has, the same information at their fingertips. They're all aware of the risks, as Toks said before, of a breast cancer, specifically a triple negative breast cancer diagnosis. But I think that, to say that only celebrities can get good treatment, I don't think you should think that way, because I think that, great treatment and good doctors are available. You just have to know the right questions to ask, and you have to feel confident enough in yourself to walk away when something is not sitting right with you. And if you do have issues, not knowing what are the right questions to ask, you can reach out to advocacy groups. The TNBC Foundation, for example, we have a list of medical questions to ask your team, and it's divided up between, your radiologist, your oncologist, your surgeon. So if you ever have, know of someone who's going into an appointment and doesn't know kind of where to start, or needs that, something to feel comfortable with, you could always reach out to, TNBC Foundation, Touch, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, Cancer Fashionista. There's so many great organizations out there.
We're the best though. Our three are the best. Our three are the best though. Reach out to us. I think
do
Hayley, right
I
though
mean,
too.
before I had this OBGYN, I was seeing an OB who had she had horrible bedside manner. And I always felt nervous when I went to see her, and I felt like I had to speak really quickly to get what I wanted to get out. But I'm good at advocating for myself, and I know when something doesn't feel right. And so I did ask around and found this other person who a friend of mine had seen for years. He delivered 3 of her babies, so I trusted her. But it is true, it's a difficult practice to join. I have very good health insurance. So yeah, it can be difficult. But I also think we all have people in our lives who are really good at research, and we all have people in our lives who are really good at talking, not necessarily even to people, but at people. And if you need to bring them in on it and be like, I'm kind of struggling to find a doctor that I really like, do you think you could help me in some way with that? Can you find me some resources? I'm really not very good at looking at things online. Or have someone come with you to an appointment and help you make your voice heard.
Well, you should never go to an appointment alone, we say, but I mean, and to Melissa's point earlier, we say, be the girl boss of your health, be the CEO of your health. You're hiring the doctor as a consultant. And, I've watched Moen, say, I'm going to treat you like family. Not every doctor does. And so I think the questions that we have, also the questions that we have that are on the websites are really helpful to help you evaluate your doctor, because if they're not addressing those things that we're asking in those questions, then something's wrong. And we did a research. Yeah, I trust my doctor. But then when we started to pick away at stuff, well, did she invite you to do genetic testing? Did you get genomic testing? Did you? And we went down the list of all the things, of all the questions, and they're like, no, I didn't get that. No, they didn't ask me that. And then maybe I don't trust my doctor. So I think those questions are a really good guide to say, is the doctor going to help you in the way that we should? And also, I think it's really important for Black women to understand the severity of triple negative breast cancer with Black women. And if you're a young woman, the severity of triple negative breast cancer with young women. We now know that 40% of triple negative patients are under the age of 40. And that's crazy. And many of them have been dismissed. They go to the doctor with a lump and present, and come back in 6 months, you're fine. And so we're really trying to educate young women about understanding that risk and standing up for themselves and being the girl boss and saying, wait a minute, no, this is not right. This does not feel right. It wasn't here a month ago. And I think all of those things are part of the lesson that we try to teach, but we have to arm ourselves and be prepared to do this. And it's hard when you're sick, and especially if you're young. When you don't really know what you're up against. I think it's almost better, like Toks, the way you talked about it, you were sort of oblivious to how bad TNBC was, right? Until somebody told you. I remember thinking, gosh, triple negative breast cancer, that doesn't sound so bad, right? Until
Yeah, in my mind,
go
I
to
was
the
like, well,
doctor.
I don't have any of the hormonal stuff, so it couldn't be that bad.
Yeah, it couldn't be that
You know,
bad, right?
yeah,
Right. So yeah,
I'm very grateful for the doctors that I've had, and I know that that doesn't happen for everybody, but they guided me very well. But I did also have my best friend who had gone through it before and
need
who was
that.
there for me every single
Need
day,
that.
helping to educate me and tell me how things were different now as opposed to when she went through it and what a
Yeah.
lot of my options were. So I
I'm putting it in the chat here. And I taking your advice, Tokes, and I'm putting it in the Facebook chat, particularly, saying bring a family member or a friend and having your prepared questions to ask. And Ricky, what you said, which is that, you can always ask your doctor. If your doctor isn't treating you like family, or if you're not sure, you ask that doctor, what
Yeah.
would you what would you do if I were your loved one? If I were
I
your
always
family?
ask that, and I feel like it always, well, Dr. Mo, you're a doctor, but like I feel like, sometimes it can make the doctor feel a little uncomfortable, but
I don't care. Who
I like to
cares?
go there.
That's
Good.
okay.
That's
Cares?
important because it jolts us out of this tumor on a chart, numbers, records. Like there's a person in front of you and a person attached to this diagnosis. You're treating a person, not a diagnosis. And so it's okay. I mean, I tell my patients all the time, it's not to put your doctor on the spot, but it's just to get perspective of all the things that there are to do, of all of the
Right.
options, of all the possibilities. If you're sitting in that seat and you're my loved one and you're listening and taking notes, what questions would you ask? What would you recommend? What would you be thinking? And then the last point, Ricky, as far as, the whole thing with young women and people getting sent away, advocating for yourself can be hard. But
Yes.
there's six words, right? How can we be more sure? And it can just sort of get that person to stop and say, okay, is there anything else that we can do? I understand you think it might be this, but how can we be more sure?
Yeah.
And then just that open-ended
Yeah.
conversation can lend itself to,
Right.
you know what, maybe there's
Right.
another scan we can do. Maybe there's a biopsy we can do. Hey, maybe there's this new test where we can do a blood test and look for minimal residual disease and see if there's circulating cells. And it doesn't have to feel as confrontational because, I know when I'm sitting in that seat in that gown and then, you don't feel as empowered all the time.
You know, with that gown with your butt hanging out, right?
Ooh, we're just hanging
And
out,
your gold- Right. Um, I think we have to do all the things and we can't be afraid. And it's hard not to have the fear, especially if you've got a lump and you can feel it, or you know what I mean, or something's not right with your body. But I always, I just had to do this big presentation for Cancer Grand Challenge, and I was thinking, our job as advocates is to bring the love to these conversations, and so that's what we do, and that's what we're here for. To reach out to us because we will. I will go to the doctor with you on FaceTime. I've done it many times. We can do that. So if you don't have anyone to help you, because it's so important for you to not be by yourself, and now I think there's a little bit of growing awareness of triple negative breast cancer among Black women, just because they're starting to hear horror stories, right? But it's still something you don't really know about until you're in it. And when you go to Dr. Google, we're trying to control what you see with our new website, but it's not always easy to get that information. You may see the bad stuff or the crazy stuff first about the mortality rates. So, Mo, I think that's a really good idea about managing chemo and managing. So, talking about what some of the treatments are for TNBC now, because there's so many great treatments that are coming out. There's so many great clinical trials that we're working on, and we're going to do a show about one of them in a couple of weeks. But there's so many good treatments now for triple negative that we didn't have, that Melissa and I didn't have, and even you, Tokes, have just come to the market because you were sick before Keytruda, right? You didn't even have Keytruda, yeah. So immunotherapy has added a whole new game, level to the game about what the treatments are. So you want to talk about
and even chemo as well. I know people are really terrified of chemo, and I think that there's a lot of stuff that isn't, and again, not everyone is able to do this, but there are, I ended up in a chemo center that was very bright with lots of natural light, and there was it wasn't a pressing situation for me. I also was doing acupuncture and body work, which really helped me with my chemo. I went through it, you know, as well as you possibly can. Really, I was, you know, I had family members who were, you know, keeping me as active as I could manage, you know, making sure that I was like
Right,
walking
right,
around
right, right.
and, you know, eating well. And, you know, I want to, I don't want to, disregard the fact that it can be scary and that many people have fear around this. I want to honor that, but I also just, it's so important for me to let people know that it is not as scary. It does not have to be as scary as a lot of people think that it is. You know, it is illness treatment, like many other illnesses and treatments. You know, yes, other treatments may be a little bit more, you know, in depth. Maybe they take longer, maybe they take more out of you. Yes, but it's still the same idea. And so removing the fear from it and just focusing on, oh, wow, these treatments exist. It's a good thing these treatments exist. That's a benefit, actually. So being able to go through them is actually a fantastic thing.
And you caught it early. So you were blessed to catch it early. You know what I mean? You were blessed to catch it early. And I think there are so many good things about that. You know, that's the way to do it if you can. You know, we can't prevent it, but early detection is our best defense. And so when you catch it early, you can things do work out for you. You know what I mean? And so it's best to just know your risks and be aware of that. I think, you know, when it gets scary is when you don't catch it early or, you know, it
Which is
progresses
why I
in
know
so
this could
many.
be another episode, but I'm a huge advocate of genetic testing because I feel like we don't have a cure for breast cancer, but we do know how to prevent it. And Toks, like you mentioned, you have unfortunately so much cancer in your family. Like, you know, we're learning now, and that's really my mom saved my life because she was bugging me to get a BRCA test, and I, you know, didn't really understand the importance of it. And if I didn't, I wouldn't be sitting here. But it really gives us like such a good roadmap to not just our health, but our whole family. Rather than, and it's similar to chemo, right? Rather than looking at with fear, look at it with empowerment. You know, chemo is a great tool to get rid of cancer, and
Yeah,
genetic testing is a great tool to prevent it.
Yeah, and like you said, for your whole family, like I was offered there were three different bundles essentially of testing that I could do. And one was very minimal, just pertaining to the breast cancer. And then there was another one that was the most, like the cancers that occur most often. And then another one that was very detailed. And I went for the one that was detailed. And I remember he said to me, "Oh, people don't usually choose that one." And I said, "Really?" He said, "Yeah, people don't usually want to know." And I thought
really.
that was so interesting. I think that if you can know, it's best. And I really wanted to know too, because I have the prostate cancer in my family and I have a son. You know, I wanted to know, am I passing that down to
Exactly.
him?
And I have two
Right,
young
right,
adult daughters. Like, yeah, it's
right.
sort of taking the power back wherever we can. That's all we can
It
do.
is. Yep. And I know like my daughter, you know, she's 39 now, but a year ago, a whole year ago, you guys, Amanda had a prophylactic mastectomy. She's had three babies and we have three generations. So though I don't have BRCA, I have no genetic mutations with three generations. And for Black people, that's counts. That's equivalent. And so she said, okay, I'm gonna just do this. And I used to make jokes when I was sick. Okay, everybody's getting new boobs when you get that nursery babies will get new boobs. And she did it. And she now feels so empowered over her life. She doesn't have the fear anymore. And I didn't realize the pressure it was putting on all of us until that went away. You know,
Mm.
it's gone, that fear is gone. And so, but that's again, be a girl boss, be the C of your body, make decisions based on knowledge and what you know and what's your experiences. So it's so important to know her story and to talk to your families and talk to your grandmas and know what you're up against so that you can, you know, make decisions in your favor. If you can, you know.
I'm hearing that, you know, one thing I love that you said, Tokes, and you echoed, Melissa, which is that, you know, these treatments are not the death sentence, they're the opportunity, right? I had the opportunity
Yeah.
to, and that
Yes,
reframing is a powerful
yes,
tool that I don't think
yes.
we don't name it enough and we don't utilize it enough, but it can be very powerful to reframe things in that way. You know, when you talk, Ricky, you know, about sort of understanding the severity of TNBC, that understanding should hopefully prompt people to not operate from a place of fear, but from the
Right.
let me put every tool in my toolbox. And
Figure
and
it out,
so
right.
like I said, acupuncture, right? I had meditation, I had sort of holistic and complementary
Right.
things that I did, and those resources are available. And I think that patients and people need to know that, so you don't feel like you have to choose, right? Like I had a whole long conversation with a woman, on Monday, and she came in and I had already put the port in and we already did everything. And she says, I think I'm going to do the holistic thing. And, I'm not going to do this chemotherapy. And we had to have a real candid conversation about, if your body can heal itself from cancer, and if your body can, if our bodies are amazing machines that can do hard things and like cure cancer, surely it can heal itself from the effects of chemotherapy, and surely
Yes,
it can heal itself from
surely
the
can.
effects of radiation. And, like, let's look at how this body, this amazing machine, has brought you through every single thing you needed to get through to today. Right.
Right.
And so that reframing, I think, is important. But you mentioned again, the Toks, the complementary resources that are available. And I just want people to know that those are available, and they do help.
They do help. They do help. They do help.
Yeah.
They do help.
I also
Well,
think that
wonder if
there's a little bit of a
um
myth too
it,
that I realized actually when I had cancer. I was the person who, I'm a bit of a hippie, and I was taking every single herb and supplement and this and that you can take, not really understanding that some of that stuff can actually be poison for your body. Some of that stuff is guaranteed to be organic or this or that. Sometimes all of those things together cancel each other out. You kind of want to walk that middle line, I think, these days, when it comes to your health. And really, when you're doing that, try to be as, not just knowledgeable about like, oh, what are the holistic remedies that I can do, but are they actually safe in the long run? Like,
Ooh,
are these actually good for me? Will this, get in the way of another medication that I'm taking for something? Or genetically, like sometimes some things won't agree with you genetically. Sometimes that, so you want to be very careful about what you're putting into your body. And I feel like we have this idea that quote unquote chemical medicine, even though everything on the planet is a chemical, but chemical medicine is so bad for you. And it's like, okay, maybe it's not the most ideal thing for you, but holistic stuff can be that as well. So we want to just really be, like you were talking about, your toolbox, like really know what's in your toolbox, know exactly what everything is for and what it does. And because I mean, really, without chemo, there's no way I would be sitting here today.
yeah, and I'm so say that again louder, okay? Because we know there's some people who want to take the holistic route, and we support all the things, but you have to do it in conjunction with the medication. Triple negative breast cancer is no joke, and we've seen some bad things happen to women who tried to eat the broccoli and drink the green juice, and and all of that stuff can help you with side effects, but it is not going to do anything to the cancer, and so I'm
yeah.
glad you said that,
Melissa, what's in your toolbox? We're talking about
Oh,
toolboxes. Your toolbox.
I have a lot of things in my toolbox. I mean, I think, with my background, I was a fashion and beauty publicist before I had breast cancer. So that was in my first life. And, I think obviously when you're first diagnosed, you need to, like what we just talked about, you need to look at your treatment options and make some decisions. And then there's the side effects, and how does that affect the rest of your life? When you're losing your hair, you lose your breasts, your lashes, your brows. How am I picking up the kids at school without everyone asking me or looking and me feeling like a cancer patient, or going on a Zoom call? So my toolbox is filled with things to help really bridge the gap between the life-saving cancer treatment and quality of life. And, like, for example, there are lashes out there, false eyelashes that I didn't know that, if once you lose your lashes, you can't put those heavy, that you have to wear specific ones. Like, there's so many nuances. One thing I learned when my hair was falling out, a satin pillowcase happens to feel better when your hair is falling out, because the weft of a cotton pillowcase really hurts. And so there's all these like, you know, until you go through it, you just, and even the doctors sometimes are like, oh, I'll tell them, they write things down. Oh, thanks for letting me know. You know, I didn't know that.
Right.
And also, you know, getting yourself a post-mastectomy bra, it makes you feel, is it going to change your outcome or you know, your treatment? No, but it will make you feel better. So, you know, I think all of those things are also complementary toolbox items that I think are good to have in your arsenal when you're going through treatment.
Yeah, again, I really highly recommend if you're going to be doing chemo to read Braving Chemo. There was I did the cold capping, and
Okay.
it enabled me to keep enough hair that I didn't feel like I was sticking out. I didn't have a lot of questions asked about things. I definitely looked different, you know, but it wasn't, I think people kind of like, what's, you know, like, but, and I was able to, you know, have my real hair on camera as well. You know, they got someone who was a specialist in alopecia, and she would like kind of like, you know, piece everything together and make it look like it was a cohesive thing on my head, you know. So, I do, if you can find that where you are, and if you're able to do that, that is another thing that you can do. Also, you know, things that I didn't know, like, you know, with the tingling in your fingers from the chemo, the neuropathy, you know, taking things like
Neuropathy.
L-glutamine and having the cold socks and the cold gloves. I mean, you know, I did all of that stuff, and it absolutely helped, 100% helped.
And Toks, I'm so glad you brought up the cold capping, because in my research, I didn't do cold capping, but I interview a lot of experts on my podcast. And I learned that the cold capping will actually help your hair, it will retain the hair, but it helps it grow back faster.
Yeah.
And you know, I think also it can be uncomfortable and painful, but I think it's gotten better over time. Did you find it to be, I guess it was bearable for you?
I mean, I have very high pain tolerance. I got through it just fine, but it was intense. I mean, I will say, like, I was like, oh, okay. And it's not, you know, you're doing it an hour before the chemo, and then you're doing it like several hours after the chemo. So you're there all day when you're doing the cold.
You have to make a commitment to that. And, you know, it also can be expensive, right?
Yes. It was expensive when I did it.
Yeah.
I was lucky enough to be able to afford it.
Yeah.
Oh, one more thing in my looking beautiful toolbox. I didn't know until I had breast cancer that if you check with your insurance, many insurance providers cover, they call it a hair prosthetic, which is a wig. And so if you have insurance, you can call and ask what your coverage is in that regard, and you can get yourself a really nice wig and have much of it covered. And if not, honestly, Amazon has some great, I mean, there's some great options online, and you can have like multiple wigs to try different ones on. You could be a different woman every day if you'd like.
Great. All right. So we're not going to talk about Amazon. I won't be political on our show, but Black people are, you know, boycotting
There
the
are
the
besides
companies
there
that
a
are,
lot of
there are
large
those, yeah.
websites, actually Black-run websites that are
Yes.
wig websites that are,
Yes.
I mean, they've got every texture, every color, every size, I mean,
Everything.
everything you would
Yes.
ever want.
Fine.
And I have a girlfriend going through treatment right now. I'm doing my best to be of service, and so I'm, I guess, mentoring, quote unquote. I've been mentoring women through their treatment, and she's having a hell of a time with her wigs, man. Every single day she's got a new one. She's having so much fun with it. She's like, I don't think I'm even going to grow my hair back. I think I'm just going to keep it short and wear wigs.
Keep doing a fun thing, right?
Cool.
Right. Make it just really a fun thing. I know. I think that, you know, we got to find ways to deal, you know, and I think even on our website, on our resources, we do have some hair stuff. So we can also, you can go there for it, you know. Maybe it's a good time to show our website. What do you think?
I think
Yeah.
that would be great.
Never a bad time.
I hope, like, Hayley and I worked really hard on this with a great team, and it was really the result of about 50 women helping us, you know, figure out how do we make a haven for Black women with TNBC. And, you know, when I was sick 13 years ago, everything was, you're going to die, you're going to die, you're going to die. So we worked really hard on this website to bring all the resources to one place, to make it a happy place all of the photography here are real people, are real blesties. There's Deltra and her precious little girl. That's her youngest one, you know. And we have, you know, I think Mo, look at us. That's me and
Oh,
Mo,
hey,
but we have
that's
no
at my
staff
farm.
members.
Somebody asked me for pictures of the farm too.
I know
But
that was from a
it,
long time ago, right?
that was our very first retreat. So Tokes, I have a farm here in Pennsylvania where we do integrative wellness experiences for cancer patients, particularly breast cancer. And Hayley's been out, Melissa's been out, and so you have an invitation to come. But we have a trichologist now who comes and talks about medically induced alopecia, and we do yoga and fishing and nutrition classes, all that stuff.
It's awesome.
I
Sounds
think we may even
amazing.
have Deltra's fishing picture on here somewhere, but basically we have, you know, the latest information on research. So one of our planning partners was AACR, American Association of Cancer Research. So all of the data that you have here and all of the numbers, all of the science is grounded in, you know, the best science you can get. Our other partner is Nueva Vida, and so everything is translated into Spanish. And so if you want to get it in Spanish, you just click a button here and you can get it in Spanish. So everything's translated first into Spanish for our Black Latinas. And you know, we have Dr. Mo giving a definition of what triple negative is. Here's our partners. We actually have Dr. Lori Wilson, who's now gone, you know, she's now above us being our angel. She had a great definition of triple negative breast cancer. So we have her giving her definition. So we try to break down all the science in words people can spell and understand. And so here are all the resources we have available. But, you know, Melissa, there's your beauty stuff and caregivers, stuff about clinical trials, how to access a clinical trial, testing fertility, fitness, all the things that we could possibly want to know about. And much of the content is videos from our shows or from other video we could find. So it's real women talking, real women giving information, and real women trying to help. We got the sex talks, you and Delta stuff on there, Melissa, and survivorship, but even how your care team can work. So we really tried to be diligent about putting anything and everything you need to know in a safe place with lots of love. And so, you know, please spread the buzz on this, but it's here for you. It's a resource hub. It's supposed to be, you know, everything you need, kind of the Wikipedia of Black women with triple negative breast cancer. And it's also, you know, we have this 3-minute questionnaire so you can personalize your experience just by resources that you need, just by asking a couple of questions. And it's also about building the community. So we're here, our porch light is always on and our door is always open, but it's always, you know, available 24/7. You can come here and be a part of our community because that's so important. And, you know, we can always hook you up with a black blessee with TNBC. So here's just some of the comments that people said, I wish I had this website already. There's our Toya with 2 of her 3 girls, right? But we really just tried to make it a place to go, right? And then we also have an incredible medical advisory board that just helped us bless everything medically to make sure all the information was sound and good. And, you know, there's our Dr. Melissa, Dr. Kalu, Dr. Lola, Dr. Kimberly, Dr. Lisa, Dr. Lena, you know, Dr. Lena's a survivor, Dr. Barrett. So, and, you know, we even have our 2 men that we love. You know, most of our medical advisory docs are women, but we let Dr. Vidal and Dr. Lillard into the mix with us. Dr. Lillard's doing amazing research at Morehouse School of Medicine, and Dr. Vidal is the guru of triple negative clinical trials at Memphis West. And then our community board. So all of these blesties played a role in all of this work. We did a lot of focus groups and we asked a lot of questions and got people to really bless everything that we do. And they're all available to talk to and reach out to. And if you just sign up and give us your name and email, we'll reach out to you and you'll get our updates and you'll have access to all the information and all of our people. So, Hayley, you want to add anything?
I'm just so proud of this project. I mean, we really took our time to try to make this into, you know, the most welcoming one-stop shop for
Yeah.
Black women with TNBC, and any question that you might have, any information you might need, we really try to make it so that it's easy to find, easy to access, easy to read. We labored over everything.
Every word. Emily labored over every word. There were
Yes.
sleepless nights over every word, but and then we clicked to our essay guide to SABCS on the TNBC website, foundation website, and but you know, all of our episodes about the different the science ASCO projects and ACR events, and so you know, and then just kind of stay in touch with us, and we'll keep you posted on what's going on and all the research that you need to know.
Is there a message board on here?
So we
And-
have.
Sorry, go ahead.
It's really here where you can sort of leave a message, and then we'll reach right back out to you. And
I
then
think
you
one
can
of the
have
great things,
our-
oh, I'm sorry, Ricky.
Go ahead. Go ahead,
No,
go
I
ahead.
was going to say that, you know, if for anyone who's listening, if you're, you know, if you're looking and if there's information that you wish you had, that you wish you could find here and you can't, please let us know, because this is like a
we'll put it-
living, breathing kind of document.
It
We
is.
want it to really speak to you and answer your questions. So anything that's not there, if you let us know, we're happy to add it.
It will continue to iterate and grow and really address anything people need. We're trying to be all the things to everybody, and we'll keep updating it. And you know, we're going to update it this week probably with 4 more trials that we just identified. So
Oh, yeah. Definitely,
so
with the CDK4 inhibitors, with the
Yes,
PD-L1,
yes.
there's so many more. It's no longer just, you know, we used to target the estrogen receptor and then everybody else got whatever else, you know, we know that there is targeted and precision therapy available for TNBC.
yeah, and the new AstraZeneca drugs
Mhm.
and stuff is happening every day in the trial space, you know, and you know, this will link you to whenwetrial.org where you can sign up for a trial, get matched to a trial. So all that's, you
One
know,
thing I would love to see, maybe in a future iteration, is I'd love to see some video storytelling and to allow people, you know, to upload a 2-minute
Yes.
video or something sharing their
that's in the
story.
work.
And
That's
yeah, be able to
in
put
the
that in
works.
the library.
That's in the work.
Because
Yep,
I think,
that's in the
you know,
work.
hearing you all and I've heard your stories and hearing Toks, you know, like the power of telling your story and sharing it, knowing that you don't have to go through it alone, but that there are people who are, you know what, uploading their story. Listen, I got diagnosed and I'm afraid, or I got diagnosed and I did this, and I'm, you know, I'm a runner and I kept running through chemo, or, you know what, I got some great recipes. Just being able to connect in that way, I think is really, really powerful. So I
Yeah.
look forward to sort of seeing that kind of video anthology or video library of folks who are, you know, because we never hear the stories of people who are just rocking out and like, you know, they're doing okay, or people who maybe aren't and have some questions and need some support. But that would be, I think.
Yeah, no, that's our next iteration for sure, to do some video storying. And even like our Deltra, you know, she's now celebrating 5 years metastatic. She was diagnosed de novo at 32 with 5 babies, you know, and so, and she's rocking it. You know, she just had a huge birthday party for herself, or a anniversary party for herself. So all the stories are really important and encouraging, and we have to stay connected and stay, you know, with each other on what's going on.
And I think, you know, a lot of people, like anyone who's watching, people might think, oh, you know, only my family follows me on social media, only have like, you know, 20 friends or whatever. It's
Yeah.
really important to put this stuff on your social media, because you never know who might see it and know someone else they want to send it to or whatever. It really is so important to have somewhere you can go to feel community, feel like you're not alone, know that you're not alone,
Right,
know
right,
that
right,
there's
right.
hope, figure out what your options are. Congratulations on that website. That's it.
Thank you.
It's much needed, and it's very well done.
It's amazing. And if I'm gonna toot the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation horn, we have some really amazing meetups on our Zoom every month. And it's really an incredible, if you go to tnbcfoundation.org, it's right on the
I'll
homepage.
share it. I'll share it too.
And it's awesome because they're not recorded calls. And we have one called Metastatic Mondays that's strictly for our metastatic friends. And, you know, we talk about everything from treatment to, you know, taking care of the kids, getting through it, and everything in between. And it's a really great way to not feel alone. It's really the best. I wish I had it when I was going through treatment, but it's a beautiful way to connect and make friends. And, you know, a lot of times we have participants who maybe live close by and end up meeting up and really, you know, forging lifelong friendships. So it's a really beautiful way to connect.
Yeah, we also do on the first Tuesday of the month, we do TNBC Talk for Touch. We did it last night. We actually had, I think Latoya told me that we had about 5 new blesties on last night. And so that's specifically for Black women. And we advertise, you know, put that on our website as
Yes, we should
well.
have that
So
advertised
we
here
have
as
plenty
well.
of places where you can talk and yeah, our TNBC Touch, yeah, TNBC Talk.
Yeah.
So but that's really great. Even the TNBC Foundation website has loads of resources as well. And so, you know, all of these stories are here and all of the things that we need to know. So we have, you know, we have so much more stuff than we used to have years ago and when we were sick. And it's just a matter of finding them, you know, making them available to women. So if you know anyone with TNBC, and we're going to do, you know, more episodes this month, but there's so many trials. So if you know anyone who needs a trial or is thinking about it, please send them our way. I'm going to put that specific email address in the chat in the comments.
And
Because
if you
we
know
are
anyone who's going through
specifically for
this,
trials.
Go ahead, Hayley.
yes, no, if you know anyone who's going through this, you know, our motto is no one fights alone. We want to really be there for people from the moment of diagnosis through treatment and even in survivorship. We have resources between our 3 organizations and other advocacy groups as well. There are so many resources to help you get through and to connect you with other women who are walking in your shoes. There's really nothing like that power of community. And we feel like we've really been able to build one over the years, and we hope people use it to their benefit. Always reach out to us. And you know, with any question or any concern, and if we can't answer it ourselves, we'll know exactly who to connect you.
We'll call one of those doctors and Mo will know. Mo will tell you.
Well, she will do it.
At 4 in the morning, whatever.
That's right. You know,
You
I'm
know,
not
we'll do it. And
sleeping.
she always, yeah.
So let me ask you guys this,
I know
because
you're not
we have
sleeping. I know.
in October, it's true. In October, we have taken over Breast Cancer Awareness Month and turned it to Breast Cancer Action Month, right? So we're in March, it's TNBC Awareness Month, right? Can we let's flip it a little bit and let's make this TNBC Action Month. What do we want people to do? Because I feel like there's, you know, even sort of politically and socially, there's a lot of things that people are talking about, but people don't know what to do and how to mobilize. So what can people do around TNBC and what actions can they take this month that would either move the needle or empower their communities or themselves? Like what's the takeaways here? What do we think?
I think one
talking
thing that
about
we
it
can
is really
do
important.
is to be heard, right? To
Yeah.
raise your voices and be heard.
Yeah.
And one way to do that is, you know, by becoming, if you're not an official ambassador for TNBC Day, becoming an unofficial ambassador. If you look at our Power of 3 campaign, if you look up on, you know, on social media, TNBC Day or TNBC Awareness Day, you will see that we have almost 100 ambassadors this year. And these are women who are sharing their stories online through our Power of 3 campaign. And what they do is they name 3 things that they wish they knew when they were diagnosed. And that's a huge thing, right? Because it allows someone who's newly diagnosed to go in and to read, like, you know, it's like a treasure trove of advice, right? And guidance. So that is one big thing. And we also share a lot of those stories and a lot of that advice and a lot of those challenges with people in power, right? So Ricky, I'd love for you to talk about our visit to DC on Monday on Triple Negative Breast Cancer Awareness Day, and our, you know, and the Education Act that's out there. It was really inspiring.
Really inspiring. So yeah, on Monday, Hayley and I went to the Hill and we went to Angela Alsobrooks' office, my senator, and met with her legislative aide. And then we went to hang out with Congressman Joe Morelli, and he's from New York, and he has an incredible story because his daughter actually died of TNBC at 31. and a few years ago, and he's taken it on as become an advocate. And so he actually brought us onto Congress TV. So Hayley and I sat down with him in sort of the Congress TV studio, which was really cool, and made a video with him, which you'll see on his social media and our social media over the month or so. But he is, so I guess Sheila Jackson Lee, Congressman Sheila Jackson, before she died of pancreatic, she was a breast cancer survivor and then got pancreatic and passed last year, but she started a bill for triple negative breast cancer for awareness and action. And so when she died, he took it up and he's decided, I'm going to make this bill happen. He's now gotten bipartisan support because guess what? Republicans get cancer too. Hello, can't be political, but he's now got a really good support team from both sides of the aisle, and he's going to push this bill forward. He's going to push forward the Screening Act, which kind of got lost in the shuffle in the last administration, and really, really try to make some inroads on getting support for triple negative breast cancer, changing how we screen for it, changing how the drugs are made, and get financial support from the government, to educate people and to find a cure. So it's really great to have him and our family on our side, and kind of look for those videos. Some of them are posted now. There's a beautiful one of Hayley up, but they're going to clip pieces of it over the next month and hopefully show the whole kind of half-an-hour interview. But it was really cool to see that Congress is taking action. And, we've all kind of been a little skeptical about our crazy government right now. But when we were walking the halls of Congress and we saw all these young people and all these young legislators, and, still psyched up to do their jobs and still motivated to support and do the right things for our country. And we could feel it in the walls. We could feel their spirit. We could feel the energy. And so it gave us, Hayley and I, hope, because I don't know how much hope I had before I walked down those halls with Hayley, but
well, this is at least not a controversial issue, right?
I know,
This is something that everyone can get behind.
Exactly. But we walked away saying, wow, this is going to happen. He's going to support it. And I think that he's really working strategically to get support from both sides of the aisle to make sure this disease is recognized, because it's not a party disease. It's not a political disease. It's an illness that everybody has to wrestle with. So that was really good news. So look for those videos.
Yes. And to answer Dr. Mo's question about action, so we are working with, the senator's office and some other legislators' offices to find out what exactly our community can do. How can we mobilize our community? What letters can you write? What emails can you write? So we're going to get that information and put it out there during the month, so that anyone who is inclined to, make a difference politically will have the tools to do that, and we'll make it really easy for you.
Yeah, write to your congressman, and we'll put that on the websites and our social.
Amazing. You guys did a wonderful job. And writing off of what Hayley's saying, in terms of, and Dr. Mo, what you're asking about in terms of action, the Triple Negative Breast Cancer Foundation did a grant with AACR. We have an incredible researcher that's going to be working on trying to solve the TNBC puzzle. And we're going to be talking about some of these things. I'm just dropping a little teaser because next week on my podcast, Dear Cancer, I'm Beautiful, Ricky, Hayley, and I are going to be talking about all things triple negative breast cancer, talking about the newest studies, the latest treatments, the latest breakthroughs, and our own take on what came out of the last breast cancer symposium in San Antonio last year.
Great. So Melissa, how do people, I'm going to put that in the comments. So
Let's
just go to
it. So if you go to Spotify and you search Dear Cancer, I'm Beautiful, you can follow the podcast there, and the episode is dropping next Wednesday.
Great. Dear Cancer, I'm Beautiful. We love that.
That's a
I
great
think other things people can do, one, get your screening, get your mammogram, right? Like that's a thing, and take somebody and hold them accountable. And, if you need to partner it with a pedicure or, lunch or cocktails, whatever you got to do.
Great idea.
Right? You're right.
Like, make sure somebody shows up and be accountable to and for each other. And, I think that's a huge one, and sharing these resources. Like, you can share this video and send it to people, put it on your social media so that people know about it. And then look into, there's a lot of good articles that are happening right now, just regarding, and this is cancer in general, breast cancer especially, but sort of what's happening in the science space of, you know, what we put in and on our bodies, right? Getting aware about
Yeah.
your environment, because there's some stuff you can't control, right? Getting cancer is
Right.
something that you can't control, but what we put in and on our bodies, what we put in our mouths, how we manage our stress, all that is stuff that we can do something about.
Yeah.
And those are good areas, I think, to focus some energy and put some good information online about that for people, maybe.
Yeah. Yeah. So Tokes, what's up for you now, girl? What are you working on? What should we look for you? Where should we look for you?
Oh boy. Right now, I'm actually taking like a couple months off. We just started a bit of construction on our house. So
Okay.
it's like
Okay.
I'm actively mommying right now.
And
And
how old is your baby? How old is your baby?
he's 5.
He's
Oh,
5.
Good
He's
age.
That's such a
5.
great age. That's
great
such a
age.
great age.
Yeah, he's a sweet little guy. He's really my pride and joy. He's my best friend. Yeah, so I'm taking just a couple months. I mean, I still have my like little voiceover, you know, once you're on a voiceover show, like it takes years to make one of those things. So I'm still doing all of those little things, but I'm gonna take a couple months and then get back into things. I needed to take some time. That's another thing, you know, I think that we need to,
Yeah.
as women,
Take a minute.
learn how to
Take a minute.
take time. I used to just try to do everything at the same time, you know, and it doesn't
Yeah.
really work, turns out, and it makes you nuts. So
It makes you, it doesn't work. We make ourselves crazy trying to be superheroes, right? Super heroes, right? But I know stress caused my breast cancer. So,
yeah, I'm pretty sure
but we
same
need
with
to
me.
take, but well, you know, you're now in our family. You know, we don't really let people go.
no,
Once
you're stuck with us. You're stuck.
That sounds great to me. Thank
I
you.
keep calling you and doing stuff with you, and I want to
Yes.
get on our soundbite team though, you know, and like
Mhm.
because we're going to Nigeria soon to like do some work there, and
Amazing.
Mhm.
but you're stuck now. Sorry, girl.
Oh no, that my pleasure. And honestly, like anything, I was raised in a family to, you know, where we like to be of service, and it's been a pleasure to be able to talk about this and talk to women and have little conversations on the side and actually form some relationships with women who need actual help. You know, I made a friend who was going through it completely alone, didn't have anybody here in LA, and we were able to like help here and there.
Yeah,
And
we don't like
you
that
know,
at all.
just
We don't
like
like that
reach
at all.
out. That's, you
Yeah.
know, put stuff on your social media, make sure that people, you know where you're at insofar as, you know, how willing you are to talk about it or talk with someone else. But I let everybody know, if you know someone who wants to chat about it, or, you know, wants some info or wants to, you know, anything, please let me know. You know, I was talking to someone's daughter the other day who I met. She's pregnant and is going through breast cancer. I put her in touch with my best friend who was pregnant when she had her breast cancer. So yeah, it's, I think, like exactly what you're doing, creating community. It's so important. We're pack
Great.
animals. We need each
Great.
other.
Do you know Victoria Ekanoy? Do you know her? Do you know
That
about her
sounds so familiar.
documentary? She's a British actor.
Oh, okay. Yes. I don't know her personally.
Yes, so she's working with us, but she's doing this amazing documentary. I'm gonna call you because you need to be a part of what she's doing. It's very
Sounds
cool.
good.
Yeah, it's a global documentary that we're doing. Yeah, so
Amazing.
don't
You guys
worry,
are doing such
you're
amazing
gonna go to
work.
work,
It makes
girlfriend.
me
So
very emotional
yeah,
to know that there are, you know, strong women out there just like helping as much as can be helped, because it's, without that, it doesn't get any better.
no one fights alone,
No one
right?
alone. Yep.
Right,
Right,
leave it
Melissa?
better than we found it. Well, you all have an open invitation, as you know, to the farm. May 17th is our next wellness day, and we'll do one in the fall as well. So if you want to come out and want to record your podcast, you want to bring your son, take him fishing, Ricky, you know, bring the crew, bring the dogs, bring everybody. But you all are so very welcome to the farm here in Pennsylvania, Still Rice Farms, where we, you know, focus on wellness and
Yeah,
sharing good information about sort of the benefits and the science behind integrative wellness especially for cancer patients. So,
yeah,
um,
put that in
yeah,
our comments too. So, all right.
sounds
Well,
good.
thanks again, guys. It's TNBC month. We're gonna celebrate all month and
Mhm.
wear our purple and our do our thing and shout to the rooftops and raise money and help people. Let's do
There
it.
it is. We hope it's been
Having us,
relatable.
and Tokes, welcome to the club.
Yeah, welcome to the family,
Welcome.
Toks.
We're putting you to work.
Sounds
I
good.
know.
It is true. It's
They
so
will
true.
too, you know, right?
All right. Well, we'll see you next Wednesday night here on blackdoctor.org. Like I said, relatable, reliable, and real is what we always try to do every Wednesday night at 6 p.m. Eastern Time. Thank you so much, TNBC Foundation. Thank you, dear Cancer. I'm beautiful Cancer Fashionista Melissa Berry, Ricky Fairley Touch, the Black Breast Cancer Alliance, and TNBC Foundation, of course, and Toks Olagundoye. For sharing your story and being a
Yes.
resource, a beacon, and a light, and just an entertainer for us, but also a model for how to do this and how to talk
Yes,
about these
an
things and have
advocate.
these conversations. So
An
we
advocate.
appreciate it so much.
So much. Blessed you,
Yeah.
love.
Blessy love.
Love you guys. Love you, Mo.
Love you more.
Take
Bye,
care.
guys.
Love it.
Bye.
Good night, everybody.
Bye.
Bye.